Welcome back to Ultimate Combat Radio. Mike Stidham here, talking mixed martial arts on 1280 The Zone. This segment is brought to you by Tim Goodwin Chiropractic, located next door to Treehouse in Draper. Interesting night, man. We've had phone calls. In fact, we had a guy named Chris that's called in twice, and my big yap kept going, and apparently he didn't get through. So if you want to call back, Chris, we'll put you right on the air. But I understand we have somebody else that's calling and has an interesting question for us. Scott has a question for us. Scott, lay it on me, man.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. I'm a sports fan. I'm a UFC fan, and it all started back in the day when I got so amped up for GSP against BJ Penn, and like the fights going up to it were freaking legit, and then all of a sudden I just don't know what, and so the fight obviously was stupid, and then I kind of like left it at that, and I watched a couple of here and there, but nothing. I mean, what am I as a fan of? Obviously people. I mean, I'm okay. I'm an NFL fan, all that stuff. What am I supposed to expect if I'm to go spend the money to watch the fight, or go into a bar and watch a UFC event? What would you expect me to expect out of the fights? Because if they, as a casual fan, I like people killing each other, but it seems like there's a lot of hype for a lot of things, and they kind of just. Is that kind of the norm, or what am I supposed to expect when I watch these fights?
I got to tell you, first of all, I think the best way to kind of frame this for you is if you really like the sport of football and you can sit and watch a 3-3 defensive battle between the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers, and you're a real football fan. But if you're kind of the casual fan and you need to see the New England Patriots score 44 points on somebody, then those are two completely different kinds of fans. So the sport of MMA it's mixed martial arts, and there's so many different nuances to the sport. And so as you become more educated in what you're seeing, you'll begin to appreciate some of the smaller little incremental victories that are going on within the fight, rather than just seeing some guy knocking another guy out and then appreciating that. So it's really your level of experience and your level of knowledge. Would you say that's a fair assessment, Brandon?
Yes, absolutely, man. That I could never follow up that. That was brilliant.
Sometimes I have smart
that is
stuff out of my head.
That's a hard question to answer, and for a casual fan, or I would recommend going to. Like your show, then you see the knockouts, you see the fast finishes, and when you start getting more experience, then you start watching the UFC, going to those kind of shows, and you start seeing the different techniques. And
I see the other thing too, going to a live event, especially at these smaller venues here in Utah, you'll get a chance to know the guys, and you'll get to know the characters in the show, and you'll get to know the guys that are putting the fights on, and I think you'll start to appreciate the athletic endeavors that are being performed, but also you'll appreciate these guys are just regular guys. These guys have families, their wives might be sitting 2 tables down from you, and you'll get to realize that, man, it's just what goes into, first
Chris
of all,
is on the line.
Stepping back into that cage and hearing that cage door shut behind you, what that takes for a guy to be able to do that. And I think you'll begin to appreciate a little more than probably you do now. Are you still there?
Nope, we got Chris now.
All right, well, he's gone, and I appreciate the call. And Chris is back on the line. Chris, thanks for calling back in.
Hey, thanks for calling me out on the radio.
You got
I just wanted to give you my prediction on Hendo. I think it'll be second round by his sledgehammer of a right hand.
You talking about Hendo winning?
Yeah, kind of like what he did to Bisping, hopefully.
Well, I tell you, if you win, we'll give you a date with Robertino.
Right. And then I was going to mention the UFC on Fox. I watched that with my family, and I would say a lot of talking, but I think what they were doing was MMA for dummies, or for someone who hasn't watched it. They talked a lot about a lot of the basic stuff, and for a hardcore fan, or if you know what's going on, you were like, seriously, get to the fight.
But do you think that might have backfired on them a little bit? Because now you've got a guy who's been coaxed into watching this brutal sport that they didn't really want to watch until, and then they get there and it was just a bunch of talking.
True. I agree with that completely, and it's been echoed multiple times, but Henderson versus Guida should have been on there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that was a
foolish
mistake.
Not to put that on there, because those guys, they do not ever, each one of them ever get into a boring fight.
Well, Chris, I got to tell you, usually we have some cool stuff to give away to our callers, and you said some pretty smart stuff tonight, so call back another night. We'll have something for you. Otherwise, I'll see if Robertino's available next weekend.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Joe,
what is going on with all these callers?
I think everybody's driving down to Provo or Orem to see the throwdown
all
fights.
All pumped up about MMA. Yeah.
Talking about mixed martial arts. So, Joe, let's talk about tomorrow night's show.
Let's do it.
Let's lay it on me, man. You're our UFC aficionado. Break it down for us.
All right, man. Well, let's start with Stephen Bonner versus Kyle Kingsbury. We're supposed to have Kyle.
Bonner. I'm going with Bonner. We had Kyle Kingsbury scheduled to. I was supposed to interview him yesterday and do a pre-recorded interview, and he dogged me. I came all the way down to the studio here, got all my questions out for him, ready to rock and roll. We called him. I got his voicemail. He never called back. The guy from the UFC called me and apologized profusely and said, I don't know what happened, but you can interview him again tomorrow. I was like, I'm one of those guys. You stand me up once, you're not going to stand me up twice. So now I'm just going to cheer for He doesn't understand. If you're on this show, you win your fight. That's kind of how it goes. Your fight. The guys that come on this show win.
I don't think we've had a loser yet.
Well, we got a loser tomorrow night, and that's Kyle Kingsbury. I'm going Stephen Bonner on that.
I think Stephen Bonner wins anyway. So I ran into him down.
You know what's interesting is that he is the favorite, is Kingsbury, according to what I read on SureDog today, that Kingsbury is actually the favorite in that fight.
Kingsbury wants to go in there and just slug it out, and I think Bonner's going to take him to the ground and submit him like every other fight.
Though Bonner is king of slugging it out. You know what I mean? He's a guy that knows how to slug it out.
But the majority of his fights, he's won by submission. So
okay.
But Martin Kampmann versus Rick Story. If you don't know who Rick Story is, man, he's a striker. He's tough.
He's a great story.
Yeah, he's going to come out. I think he's going to get a knockout. And then we got Uriah Faber, Brian Bowles.
Well, we're going to take predictions on that last one.
Do you know Rick Story and Martin Kampmann?
Your speed going. Now, I'm going to Rick Story. I think Story's a tough guy, too.
Kaiser?
2 minutes.
Rick Story is tough. I watched him fight Jake Paul back in the day.
Oh, did you really?
So he concurs.
Okay. Then we got Uriah Faber, Brian Bowles.
Who you taking on that?
Uriah Faber, man. I'm a fan.
I'm a fan, too, but I think Bowles beats him.
I'm going with Faber.
And then we got,
all right. Just because you guys don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Vanderlei Silva, Kung Lee.
Kung Lee.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm going with Kung Lee. I'm a martial arts guy, man. I like it. I'm going with Kung Lee.
I didn't say Bruce Lee. I said Kung Lee.
They're related somehow, I'm sure.
Vanderlei Silva, I think he's got to get a win because if he doesn't, I think he might be on his road to retirement.
He's get an Elroy. He's out of here.
And then we got Shogun and Dan Henderson, and I agree with the caller. Shogun by...
Is that an emotional pick, though? Because, like I said, I couldn't pick against Henderson. I just love the guy, man. He's awesome. He's one of those guys that'll fight anybody, anytime, any place. And so, how do you pick against him?
He's on a ride right now. He beat Fedor. He's up there. He's going. He's
going to ride it all the way to the title too. I think.
I think he's going to. But I think that he's going to. After this fight, drop down and go to 185 and fight for the title. I don't think he's going to.
Oh, really?
That's what I think is going to happen. I think he's better at 185.
He's not going to beat Silva, though, I don't think.
He doesn't beat Silva.
He's not going to have to beat Silva. He's going to have to beat Chael Sonnen.
No. Man, what were you? Did you stop on the corner of 3rd South and stayed on the way down here and talk to somebody selling some hippie lettuce? What was going on?
Chael Sonnen's going to beat him. And then it's going to be Dan Henderson, Chelsea, and it's going to be it.
All right. Okay. Well, that's going to put a wrap on things. UFC tomorrow night. Don't forget, we got fights going on right here in Utah, down in Orem at UVU. It's a great show. If you can make it down there, $15 for general admission. You can't beat that. And then, of course, we'll be back here talking mixed martial arts next week. And Joe, we're going to be checking on your predictions next week.
I'm going to be telling you guys I told you so again.
All right. Well, once again, I want to thank Aztec Highway. I want to thank Joe Martinez and Brandon Kaiser for bringing the show tonight. It's the Ultimate Combat Radio. We'll see you next week.